Hey guys, I wanted to do a couple of short videos. You're not going to see me on camera today, but wanted to show you a little bit more about the F134 Hurricane motor that I pulled out of the Jeep. We did an engine swap a couple weeks back. Got the replacement one sitting in there. Got this one on the engine stand, ready to do some rebuild on it. Took the water pump off. The one that was on the replacement motor was bad, and this one had just been replaced about a year ago, so I took this one off. Put it over there on that one. I didn't get some video of that, but pretty simple. 4 bolts, a couple hoses, no big deal. So I know a lot of people haven't seen what these motors look like up close out of the Jeeps, and there's a few things that are kind of interesting about them. One of the things that you don't see a whole lot because there's so much stuff in the way is this little port right here. This is where the oil comes out of the oil filter assembly, which sits right up here off of this area. So there's a hose that goes down there, and it literally just drips oil on the timing gears. It's not really pressurized. So some of these old Jeeps don't have the oil filter assembly, and the oil comes from over here on this side. Down here, you got 4 ports, one up underneath the fuel pump, this one, and there's 2 in the back. The oil can come out of any of these ports and either go directly over here and drip down on the timing gears, or it could go up to the oil filter assembly, get filtered, and then drip down on the timing gears. You can't really see a lot of this inside the Jeep. So the motor that's in the Jeep, and this one has a port right here that we're going to put the oil filter assembly on. And these that are back here in the back are typically used for the oil pressure, and there's an oil bypass. This one right here usually is fed up the back of the motor. There's a line that goes back over here. It goes right in that little port, which I have covered right now, but sometimes you'll see a steel hose that kind of goes over. It goes all the way down into one of these ports, and it's just a bypass. So let's see what else we have. This is the fuel pump. I'm not sure if this is an original or a replacement. Some of them have a glass dome that sits up here. Those are the original ones. I think this has been replaced. We're not running this pump at all. The one that's in the Jeep has a block-off plate, and we're running an electric fuel pump. But this is where it would go in the normal installation. I'll go back up here to the front of the motor. I put another video out before. Normally you would see your motor numbers right here, and these are the motor numbers for this particular Jeep. The one that's in the Jeep doesn't actually have numbers. It's probably been machined off over the years. From what we can tell, this was the original motor to the Jeep, but because the motor numbers don't exactly match the body numbers, it's hard to tell. Alright, so one of the interesting things about these motors is they're not a flathead, but they're not 100% overhead either. So the earlier motors, the Go Devil motors, all of the valves were down here in the block, and the head was a flathead, and it just sat up on top. In this particular motor, the exhaust valves still live down here in this valley, but the intakes are up here in the head, and this is the rocker arm assembly